Hey everybody, it's Frankie Foreman and Pat Topolinsky from Engine Power, and this is one of our commentary videos. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go back, watch a really classic, really cool video. We're going to talk through maybe some of the stuff you didn't see on camera, or maybe some of the stuff that we had to do that we didn't show you, and answer some questions. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's get to it.
Yeah. So we are watching, this is season something, episode something, but this is this is our Junkyard Hemi build. So this was an engine that we pulled out of a junkyard for Detroit Muscle for their Roadburner project. So this was a completely junkyard engine that we did a bunch of mods to, picked up a bunch of power too.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Let's hit play.
You're watching Power Nation. From a forgotten, burned up salvage yard engine to a power plant for a classic Mopar.
This Gen 3 Hemi rises from the ashes on today's Engine Power.
Welcome to Engine Power. You may have noticed that we have been doing quite a few fuel-injected engines as of late.
Yeah, we did an AMC 304 with port fuel injection. We did two LSs, one was naturally aspirated, one was supercharged, and we did that 5-liter Coyote that was supercharged. That was pretty sweet.
It was. Now we have a new project in the shop for all of you Mopar lovers. This is a Gen 3 6.4 liter Hemi, and you may think we're going to go ahead and fuel inject this one as well, but we are going old school carburation on this one, and for a good reason.
Recently, the Detroit Muscle crew went looking around Stevens Performance, the world's largest Mopar salvage yard, searching for a new project vehicle. Tucked away among 60 acres of rusted metal was a '69 Roadrunner from California in solid shape. After loading it up and hauling it back to the shop, it was time to get started.
This project will respect its Mopar heritage while updating some components like the suspension and engine. That's where we come in. Mark and Daniel showed us this Gen 3 Hemi.
Yeah, it was all crusty.
Despite its Chernobyl engine, we jumped at the opportunity to put a bit of modern muscle into a piece of automotive history.
This engine actually came out of a burned up vehicle at a salvage yard, and according to the tag, it's from a 2016 Ram 2500. Now, obviously, it's in really rough condition, so we're gonna have to go over it, do a few checks, and then maybe we'll get it running.
It's a big maybe. Wiring harness, who needs that kind of stuff? The first thing we do to any salvage yard engine is to pull out the spark plugs and check their condition. These have some rust on the threads and some carbon deposits, but overall, not bad. Another test we will do is a cranking compression check. This can tell you if the piston rings are in good shape and if the valves are sealing up. Make sure you save these.
Yeah, we're gonna need these for the next engine. It's like 220.
Okay.
Not bad.
No, that's good. Let's do the rest. And
Yep.
there was no clanking or anything, so check the rest of them.
Yep. Dang, that's the best one yet, 275.
Well, it'll start to get better. The cam, because you know it's locked in its fully advanced position, it's going to be high, and it'll start to get better because the more we turn this over, the better it's going to get, because I don't know what's underneath. This had literally gloves shoved in the intake ports, so there might be a little bit of stuff under the seat. So the more we make it rotate and the more we actually
work it loose,
it's going to get better. So,
well, hey,
we'll have to recheck those. I bet you those other two are.
Oh, I bet they're up now.
I bet you they're up now. Yeah.
But that's promising, so I feel better.
Yeah. Next, we'll drain what's left of the oil.
Oil or penetrating oil, something like that in there.
Well, not anything. Put a lube.
Yeah, don't put Coca-Cola in there, but like some kind of penetrating lube or oil in the cylinders when you do that. Something like SeaFoam works really good. You can like spray it down the tube, and then when you pressurize, it kind of expands it and kind of aerates the whole cylinder. Gives a little bit of lubrication, seals right up, if everything's right.
But other than that, we should be good to go.
Now, we kind of let the cat out of the bag of what we're doing.
Letting the cat out of the bag.
Oh, look at that. I forgot I even said that.
You can tell who wrote that.
We are using Holley's high ram lower intake manifold designed for Gen 3 Hemis. Even though it was made for fuel injection, it also works great with carburation. A top with a single square bore carburetor flange will get us going. Since this engine didn't come with any functional accessories, we had to add an alternator and an idler pulley in order to get a belt on to spin the water pump. Finally, we'll add a set of used stock coil packs.
In order to run this engine as it sits, we will be installing one of Holley's Terminator X kits. Now I know what you're saying, that is an EFI system, and you are correct, but that system will also run the ignition side of a carbureted engine extremely well. And the benefit of that is, if they ever want to go to fuel injection at a later time, all they have to add are the injectors and the throttle bodies, and they are good to go. Like every other Terminator X we've used, it is a simple plug-and-play operation that makes it easy to get your engine running. Smooth. Up next, that's the sound we like to hear. Woo! All right, as this thing came in, first thing, junkyard engines, I mean, I'm all for doing them, but I'm like, this thing's a box.
Well, especially this one. This is like it's a perfect and bad example at the same time, right? Because it came in, it looked rough, and it kind of was rough, but sometimes that's like the perfect score because that engine, I can't remember how much they got it, but I remember it was relatively cheap for a Hemi, and like internally, there was nothing really wrong with it. It was just externally, and we had planned on doing modifications anyways, right? So
yeah, the interesting thing on this one is it was actually in a fire. A lot of times you get engines out of a junkyard, there's some unknowns. This one was pretty known. It said light burn on it.
Yeah, light was an understatement.
Light was an understatement. It wasn't exactly light. There was a bunch of melted stuff on it.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean the engine's bad, and in this case, you'll find out that it turned out pretty good, but this thing was nasty to start with, and it had some pretty interesting things that were on it when we started.
It was kind of it was like the perfect score at the perfect time.
Yeah, that's one, like if it's at a junkyard, people are gonna walk by that and like, I don't want that one because it looks like, it fell into the middle of a volcano.
Yeah, so.
Precision engine building takes some precision tools. Now these can seem pretty expensive at first, but over time will show a great return on investment to improve both the quality and accuracy of your builds. You can start with something small like a torque wrench that you'll use all the time. There are several different types available, including more affordable options like a dial or beam.
I don't mess around when it comes to tools. I've said it before, if I'm going to use it more than once in my life, or I will say twice in my life, I'm just going to buy it. So.
Inside diameters and come in several different lengths. Micrometers are a little bit more expensive, but they are much more accurate at measuring outside diameters and go down to the 10,000ths of an inch. Dial indicators have several different uses in engine building and come in varying degrees of accuracy and are even offered in digital form. Plastic gauge is an inexpensive way to measure oil clearance and if used correctly can be quite accurate. Dial bore gauges are more expensive, but they are much more precise and can measure down to 10,000ths of an inch. There are also some specialty tools.
See, I disagree that there's one thing that you actually stopped using that you should use all the time is your razor.
And piston ring compressors. If you're looking to expand
your
engine building tools, you can find
the clean shaven.
I'm going to use it once.
We've gone ahead and changed the oil and filter on our engine, but you saw what came out and the oil was pretty rough from sitting in the junkyard so long. So the last thing we'll be doing is adding some SeaFoam motor treatment. This works in either gas or diesel engines, and in the fuel system, it can help stabilize the fuel for long periods of time, remove water, and clean out any debris. We'll be putting it in the oil, where it'll clean off some of the parts and also break up and clean out any debris that may be sitting in the oiling system. Now, SeaFoam treats up to 16 quarts of oil, but since this is an extreme case, we'll be using the whole can.
All right.
Ready?
Junkyard fabulous.
Let's see if it starts.
It has oil pressure.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
At this point, yeah, I mean, we basically verified that nothing crazy was going to happen, but like that first startup, I was standing by it just because we're not going to like rev it up a bunch or anything like that. But if you ever notice, we usually don't stand we definitely don't stand next to engines during a dyno pull. Like even on the chassis dyno, you always stand like in front of them or behind them because all the parts go out or down or up.
You know, I thought the valve covers would drip,
Well,
but so far no leaks, which is awesome.
the most important thing on this one is you fire it up, the thing has oil pressure and nothing's
Yeah.
doing anything goofy. No dead cylinders, you know, there's nothing that's sounding funny.
No
You can
dead
immediately
lifters,
tell if something's got
broken rings,
a you know, dead cylinder or something. So.
Yeah, and this engine has, you know, displacement on demand, so that was a big thing too.
Yeah.
Like, why is it in the junkyard? Did it have a dead cylinder? Did it have a lifter collapse?
Nah, just burned up.
Never know. Yeah. No, it was just car fire.
We have a little temp in it. I just kind of want to see if it'll do it.
That made an actual pull.
Dang. Not bad.
It
not bad for
kind of
power
flailed
either.
around a little bit, but made 361 horse and 409 pound-feet. It's up to temp. Let's run it a little bit more just to get the SeaFoam through it, and then let's just kind of drain the oil out.
You know the SeaFoam is working because we put clean oil in and dirty oil came out. Good job, SeaFoam.
Before we wash the engine, we'll get it ready by pre-soaking it with some foaming degreaser. To clean our engine, we're using a Bauer 2300 PSI brushless max performance electric pressure washer that we picked up from Harbor Freight. Pressure washers are invaluable around the home and shop for a variety of uses, but since this is engine power, you can guess what we're going to use it on.
It comes with 4 different nozzles to choose from. And
Wearing his raincoat.
It was cold and wet. Yeah, it was.
It provides high performance, longevity, and is
A lot of times you can't tell what the actual outside temp is when we're doing stuff, and it basically always looks like it's, you know, some sort of normal temperature, but like days like this, I think it was like 45 degrees out or something like that.
Yeah.
volt cord. This Bauer pressure washer makes your cleaning job that much easier. You can get yours at your nearest Harbor Freight.
I got the steering gear back here.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. To start this engine transformation, we have to strip it down first. Don't break, don't break, don't break. It comes apart relatively easy with no big surprises. It'll come down. Yeah, karate chop it. The leftover oil in the pan looks a lot better than the first time. Look how clean that pickup is.
Yeah.
Look how clean that screen is. That's always a good sign. Ooh, nice. Probably clean it up and reuse it.
I think we have a new one. I don't think we need to go that extreme.
The rotating assembly looks good, but we want to check the bearings to be sure. If the rest look as good as this, we are good to go.
Because of rust in some of the threads, the spark plugs were pretty gnarly coming out. But luckily, none of them broke.
That's for real, because
Yeah, that was.
the
ooh.
one thing on salvage yard, junkyard stuff, when things are coming off it, especially spark plugs, they're in an aluminum head and they're way down in a
They have,
hole.
they have a big cavity to fill up, and it had no coil packs
You
on
can
it.
just sit
so-
there and just percolate with water in it the whole time. And as they're creaking, I'm like, man, you don't know if it's tearing threads out when it's doing it, but
Or you're gonna snap off in there. and-
luckily we had no problems. I've had ones come out and the plug just comes out and it's full of thread, and you're like, well, my day just got more interesting.
Yeah, must have been. Up next, the Hemi gets a bigger cam, some valve train upgrades, and fresh induction. Then it's dyno time.
You know, now that we have this thing, getting into this is, you know, that's the thing you have to, no matter if it's, even though that it's all burned up like that, doesn't mean you don't take it apart carefully. It's very, very tempting to say, well, we're not going to use this, we're not going to use that. But when you don't tear things apart carefully, you're still going to miss something that might be a very important factor. And so make sure that even though you're 99%, you're going to not use the majority of stuff you're taking off, you still got to be forensic about it and tear it apart very carefully.
Well, especially something like this, right? Because we verified on the dyno, so we know it runs, we know it has 8 holes, we know it has oil pressure and such, but we don't know the mileage on the engine,
Right.
we don't know the maintenance schedule. We knew the oil looked rough, obviously, right? And I mean, we are putting a lot of new parts on it, but we're also keeping a lot of parts like the rocker arms and cam bearings and all that. So we had planned on obviously not, if we can, not touching any of that. So that's things that, yeah, as you're tearing it apart, you gotta kind of keep an eye out for, because something like that can really like mess up your whole build if you find, you want to find it, but if you find something like that, that's like critical. You need to find that, you need to repair it or fix it. So that kind of stuff was, what we were looking for, and luckily on this one, this engine was definitely low miles. Maybe not maintained the best, but I would definitely say it was under 80,000 miles for sure.
And once we got into it, we're like, okay, this engine's going to be fine,
Yeah.
right? So this engine's going to be, no, we're not going to treat it unlike anything else because we don't have things like, well, but this is questionable, but we're going to use it anyway. We're not going to do that. So
You probably could have gotten away without doing that.
Remember this?
Yeah, I remember this. That was gross.
A little juicy. Juicy. Doesn't taste bad though.
I remember we mixed jelly in there to get it the right color and consistency. That was funny.
That was a good gag. Our inspection. We know the cylinders look great, so we checked the bearings and they look perfect. The next thing we will do is take out our valve train. This is the factory VVT setup. There's a spring inside this that holds the cam in its most advanced position. In this case, the cam was at 102 degrees of intake centerline, and we know that the cam's lobe separation is 116 degrees, so the cam was in 14 degrees advanced when we were running it on the dyno. Now that's why the power was great down low but fell off up top. We're going to keep the cam phaser, but we'll lock it out so it doesn't affect camshaft timing.
The camshaft will be upgraded so the stock bump stick can be removed. If any engine we've built recently could use a visual improvement, it's this one. After laying down primer, the block receives 3 coats of Chrysler Hemi Orange. We picked up a set of used salvage yard valve covers.
Here's what they look like when they're not burned up.
And wiping them down with lacquer thinner, they get an orange finish as well. Next, we'll lock out the phaser. Comp's lockout kit comes with a special tool which relieves spring pressure, allowing us to remove the fasteners on the back side. The lock simply drops into place and is wedged outward with a pipe plug. This keeps the phaser from moving during operation.
The new camshaft is from Comp. It's a little bit bigger and will move the power band higher in the RPM range. It has more lift and duration with 222 degrees of duration at 50 thousandths lift on the intake and 230 degrees on the exhaust. Lobe separation angle is 115 degrees. Once the timing set is bolted into place, we'll install the tensioners and remove the pin to put the chain under pressure. Next, we degree the cam, and the intake centerline comes in at 108.5 degrees, which is 6.5 degrees advanced.
During installation of the oil pump, we'll use 3 1,500 shims to ensure proper alignment.
Oh.
Now we can move on to the valve train. The lifters and trays have to go in before the heads can go on. We're replacing the stock springs with a conical set from Comp Cams. They have an increased spring rate of 485 pounds per inch to handle our more aggressive camshaft. We also got this powerhouse specialty valve spring compressor from Comp. This simple tool makes changing the valve springs on Gen 3 Hemis a breeze.
The heads were in excellent shape.
Yeah, and these heads flow like a ton of air.
Man, that's the thing with these things. They factory. That's why this thing made so much power. Factory heads flow a ton of air. So, back in my day, like having heads that flow that good, you'd have to do a lot of work to them.
Yeah.
Why do sometimes people fall asleep when they're drilling stuff?
I don't know.
Because the drills are so boring. Now, I love dad jokes, right? And, those are my ones that I always spring on them because they're super fun, right? Because
They're hilarious.
what? I thought they
Some
were
are really good.
Well, it's hard to write your own material. It's like, that's why I actually have a day job. But we like doing them. Maybe we'll start sprinkling them in a little bit in the future because I like them.
Spray to protect them during startup.
Installed.
We got a new OEM car-style timing cover because the Holley swap components are designed to use that one over a truck style.
Since the engine will live in a vintage muscle car where space is at a premium, we'll install an oil filter block-off plate and run a remote oil filter on the dyno. The Holley swap pan kit comes with a center sump pickup and windage tray. After putting some silicone on the parting lines of the block, we'll install Holley's cast aluminum pan made for B-body Mopars. Once we get this Hemi hooked up, we'll find out what it can do in the cell block.
Up next,
That is slick. I can't believe they flow this good.
So the big question we get asked a lot is, with stuff like this, how do we determine what parts we need for what build, right? And like we always say, it's application specific. Because this was going into just like a hot rod, obviously we weren't gonna get super radical, and it was, you know, we're fixing up a junkyard engine, so we're not building a race engine here, but basically we looked at a lot of data on those engines before we ever even pulled it apart to determine what we might want for like cam, intake, things like that, to make the power goal that we were looking for. So it really doesn't, I guess you know, everything is scalable for engines. The big thing on this one was just making sure we had stuff to fix any potential problems we found. That was something where I was like, ooh, we want, you know, if we were building like a fully built engine, we probably would have got more aggressive on some of like the cam and things like that. But because we're like, okay, we're using stock rods, things like that, we got to peel that back a little bit and just make sure we're, you know, being realistic on what we're trying to achieve.
before we can get our engine running, there are a few original parts that we're going to have to replace. We're going to be changing out our water pump, our alternator, a tensioner, our idler pulley, and a few sensors, and we chose the Duralast brand for their higher quality and improved durability. Duralast has a full lineup of parts covering most vehicles on the road, and they include brakes, alternators and starters, suspension components, batteries, and over 750 types of vehicle electronics. Parts like alternators and starters are offered new or remanufactured, where Duralast improves on the OE design to fix common failures and then triple tests them to ensure that they meet or exceed original equipment performance. If you want to look at all the parts Duralast offers, you can go to duralastparts.com. With such wide coverage of electronic components, it's easy to find the right Duralast sensor for your project.
Like Frankie mentioned earlier, we did let the cat out of the bag on what induction we were using, but that was necessary to get the engine running to make sure the engine actually had oil pressure and was functional. Since then, we have changed it up. We've removed the single 4-barrel top and replaced it with one that... I mean, I don't care who you are, tunnel rams are always cool.
Yeah.
And topped it off with 2 QFT Black Diamond 750s.
So nice. They don't make those anymore either. Kind of wish they still did.
I mean, there's always the internet.
Yeah, it's hard to find used ones.
There's always maybe there's always Marketplace and eBay.
Yeah.
Can we say eBay?
I don't know.
2
Sure.
4 barrels sticking out of the hood.
Hit us
So
up.
it's old school tunnel ram goodness. Because the manifold is O-ringed, it slides on and seals up with no problems. The Holley alternator relocation bracket works great when you need more clearance to fit a modern power plant into an older car.
With Duralast alternators, all the wear components are replaced, not just rebuilt. Parts are tested at component, sub-assembly, and finished stages. Holley's power steering adapter kit gives you that extra clearance you need with this popular swap.
We've already run this engine on a Terminator X system, so there's just a couple of simple connections to be made. And with the belt put on, we are ready to run. Since this engine will power Detroit Muscle's Roadburner project, we wanted Tommy here so he could hear it run. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Fire this thing up.
Now, what's cool about this one is everything's stock architecture. I mean, essentially the short block is a bone stock short block.
Yeah.
Bone stock heads, we put springs on it, but a cam and a manifold change. So,
Yeah, but huge difference for just those components.
this is a huge difference.
Totally different engine.
Okay, so here we go.
Sounds good.
slick. I can't believe they flow this good. Okay, look at that. 540.7 at 6,600 and a 494.4 at 5,200.
Man, that ain't too bad at all.
That is
Dang.
mean. Again, that's a stock cylinder head.
Yeah, I mean, like, then this thing, it's up a ton over what, I mean, even off the stock numbers, this thing is way up.
Yeah, now,
it's crazy.
The truck engine's rated at 410, and again, we're turning accessories. You take all the accessories off that and just have like an electric water pump on this thing, it'd make probably 10, 15, 20 more. I know you're wanting between 5 and 550, so 540 is a pretty.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
Pretty close.
I love it. So you guys are gonna have some fun with this one.
Heck yeah.
For information on anything you've seen today, you can go to PowerNationTV.com.
Honestly, these kinds of ones are super fun because
Yeah.
they're, I mean, like you said, straightforward, to the point, and in the end, you still have a really nice engine. Like, it doesn't have to be a super full tilt build, you know, to get something nice. That engine was still runs extremely well, and has been motoring around in that car and stuff, and it looks killer, and it has the look they wanted. It runs great. I mean, this is a good engine, and it honestly, I mean, didn't take a lot of parts to do it.
No, you can put a lot of parts on it. We put a lot of parts on stuff because when we're trying to do something to make a specific power output or whatever, again, if we're doing them for one of the other shops or whatever, but when we're just doing content, it's not hard to make power. It's not hard to just change some easy things and make things better.
Yeah.
All of it's just attention to detail, and we're not trying to set any records in comp eliminator on this thing.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make a fun hot roddy engine that not only runs really good, but looks cool, you know, hanging out of the hood. You know,
Yeah,
so.
and it does. And
Yeah.
we achieved that. It was killer. All right, well, I think that pretty well wraps it up. Fun episode.
Yeah.
Fun watching it again, honestly, because I think we should do more stuff like this. I've been thinking about that a lot. We should do more, maybe some more junkyardy stuff like this because it's a lot of fun. It's super relatable, and like stuff like this, you can, like we just watched, you can make really good power with it for like a hot rod or street car engine.
Right.
So I think maybe we should do these more.
I agree. I don't want to be the one pulling it out of the vehicle.
It'd be great if
in
it was
the
already
salvage
out.
yard.
Yeah.
If they're on like a rack. I mean, not that we haven't done that gripe. I used to do that when I was a kid a lot. You need an engine, you go pull it out yourself. Well, it's a whole lot easier to have it sitting there. People nowadays, they're very good at doing stuff and not damaging it because that's how salvage yards make their money, right?
Yep, yeah.
So I agree. I would love to do more of these.
Yeah, so if you want, comment below what engine you would like us to go to a junkyard and get and do something like this. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on the Engine Power YouTube page so you get notified about upcoming episodes like this and new episodes because we're making new content for you guys all the time.